The dark type. Outside of its advantage to psychic, it doesn't do much else. When paired up with other types, it will improve both its offense and defense. So here we go, calculating the best dark type combination. To calculate the greatest type combination for this video, I will be using this formula. Hopefully I can simplify and explain this quickly. So basically a type combination will gain 2 points for each type it is super effective against, and a bonus 1 point if both of its affiliated types are super effective against the same type. It will lose 2 points for each weaknesses, an additional loss of 3 points if it has a double weakness. It will gain half a point for each resistance, another half point for every double resistance, lose 2 points if both types are resisted by the same type, gain 2 for each immunity, and lose 2 for each liability, which are types that are immune against it. Hopefully you understood that. If there is a tiebreaker, I will just choose. And since we are dealing with the dark type, I will only talk about the combination's immunity to psychic if it involves more than just the psychic type, since all dark type has this characteristic. In 17th, and the worst dark type combination is dark and dragon. This combination is super effective against 3 types with 6 resistances. It also has 5 weaknesses, including a double weakness to fairy, and is also a liability to fairy. Final score, -4. In 16th is dark and normal. This type is only super effective against 2 types and has only 1 resistance. It also has 3 weaknesses, including a double weakness to fighting, but does have the immunity to ghost and psychic. Plus it's a liability against ghost. Final score, -2.5. In 15th is dark and grass. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 6 resistances. It also has 7 weakness, including a double weakness to bug, and a final score of -2. In 14th is dark and rock. This combination is super effective against 6 types with 6 resistances. It also has as many as 7 weaknesses and a double weakness to fighting. Both dark and bug are resisted by fighting and has a final score of -2. In 13th is dark and bug. This combination is super effective against 4 types, with both dark and bug being super effective against psychic. It also has 4 resistances and 5 weaknesses. Both dark and bug are resisted by fighting and fairy. Final score, -1. In 12th is dark and ice. This combination is super effective against 6 types with 3 resistances. It also has 6 weaknesses, including a double weakness to fighting, and a final score of 0.5. In 11th is dark and psychic. This combination is super effective against 4 types with 0 resistances. It also has 2 weaknesses, including a double weakness to bug, and is a liability to dark. Final score, 1. In 10th is dark and electric. This combination is super effective against 4 types with 5 resistances. It also has 4 weaknesses and is a liability against ground, but has a final score of 2.5. In 9th is dark and water. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 6 resistances. It also has 5 weaknesses and a final score of 5. In 8th is dark and fighting. This combination is super effective against 7 types with 3 resistances, including a double resistance to dark. It also has 3 weaknesses with a double weakness to fairy, and both fighting and dark are resisted by fairy, and is a liability to ghost. Final score, 5. In 7th is dark and ground. This combination is super effective against 7 types with 4 resistances. It also has 6 weaknesses and is a liability to flying, but does have the immunity to psychic and electric. Final score, 6. In 6th is dark and ghost. This type is super effective against ghost and psychic, with both ghost and dark being super effective against ghost and psychic. It also only has 1 resistance and 1 weakness. Both ghost and dark are resisted by dark, but does have the immunity to normal, fighting, and psychic, but a liability to normal. Final score, 6.5. In 5th is dark and flying. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 3 resistances. It also has 4 weaknesses and the immunity to psychic and ground. Final score, 7.5. In 4th is dark and poison. This combination is super effective against 4 types with 4 resistances. It only has 1 weakness and a liability to steal, but still has a final score of 8. In 3rd is dark and fire. This combination is super effective against 6 types with 6 resistances. It also has 4 weaknesses and a final score of 9. In 2nd is dark and steel. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 9 resistances. It also has 3 weaknesses, including a double weakness to fighting, but it does have the immunity to poison and psychic. Final score, 9.5. In first place and the best dark type combination is dark and fairy. This combination is super effective against 5 types with 2 resistances, including a double resistance to dark. It also has 3 weaknesses, but does have the immunity to psychic and dragon. Final score, 9.5, tied with steel. Yeah, that's my calculation of the dark types. Since the dark type lacks reaction to a lot of types, it would be beneficial to be paired up with a type that can provide dark with both offense and defense. And that's it for this video. That's about it.